The 22nd? Day 52. Day 52. I've been going live for 52 days straight. 52 days straight. Thank you guys for helping me tap this out to 10,000 taps in 10 minutes. That really, really does help the room. And it doesn't cost you a thing to help me out. All right. So I really, really do appreciate that. I appreciate all of my tappers that are out there. I also appreciate everyone that's grabbing that heart me that's out there. You know, we got a lot of people in the room at this particular time. Grab that heart me. That's going to connect you and I. That's going to let you know. All right. Oh, okay. TikTok's been acting up a lot lately, so it was going in and out. So I think we're back. But yeah, grab that heart me up top. That's going to connect you and I. And I can go ahead and start this thing. So happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Monday. I love Mondays. I really, 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 truly do love Mondays. We call it in the stock world, we call it hedge fund Mondays. So why do I love Mondays? Because so much money is transferred to and from individuals on Mondays in the stock world. So a lot of the times, money is gonna be deposited into a lot of people's accounts from their money market accounts into their pension fund or their mutual fund, and those fund managers put that money to work. Their job is not to have your funds just sitting in a savings account or a money market account. They have to put those funds to work. So on Mondays, we call it hedge fund Mondays. You're going to see a lot of activity on Mondays. I try to make the most money that I possibly can early in the week, so that if I have a really, really good Monday or a really, really good Tuesday, then I don't really have to really work the market on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. As a trader, even as a trader, if I make a lot of money on Monday, I can literally just trade my profits. So I know at least by the end of the week, if I'm trying to generate income for myself, if I'm playing with the house's money, which is profit, thank you for the fast gear, I can, if I make a decent amount of money on Monday, I can, it gives me the comfort to be able to get in and out of the market if I choose to. And the worst case scenario is that I end the week at zero. So I really, really do love Mondays. My second favorite day to trade the market, interestingly enough, is going to be Wednesdays. So Mondays are my favorite. Wednesdays are my second favorite. I kind of hate the trade on Fridays. I usually just look at the market on Fridays. I might buy something for a swing trade on Fridays. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I really, really do watch the market, because I noticed that on Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days that I lose the most. Fridays, I'm usually going out golfing with my buddies, so I try not to be in the market as much. So I'm really looking for longer type positions. And that's kind of how my week works. So today we're going to talk about an interesting topic that I would say when I do consultations, let's say I do about 1,000 consultations, I would say maybe out of that 1,000, only maybe 100 people are getting in and out of the market where they're paying themselves on a monthly basis. So I had to come up with a term for that, because there's a lot of people that are not invested in the market. And then, the common way to enter the market is either through your employer, through your 401k, where you don't have any hands-on experience in the market, and that's fine. But I always tell people that's the tortoise method of being able to make sure that you have money in the future. And it's not always going to be the amount of money that you could retire off of, but it's a great, great foundation to have. Having your 401k set up, starting that first business, getting your company to match those funds, trying to max out your accounts. And that will give you guys the foundation that you need to build your wealth. But it's the tortoise method. And then I would have my traders that come into the market and they're like, Joel, I don't have 10, 15, 20 years to make any money. I need to make money next week. It's always either the tortoise or the hare that I'm dealing with. It's always the tortoise or the hare. And it's funny because I don't know why humans are like this, but humans never have like three things to choose from. It's either good or evil. It's like Democrats or Republicans, right? I mean, I know you got your independents out there, but it's like Dems or Republicans, good or evil. North or south. I mean, you got your east and west also. I get that, but we're always we speak in absolutes. And I mean, even in baseball or football or even when you're playing different sports, it always ends up being two teams at the end, right? And I don't know why we're trained like that, but we're always trained to be at one extreme or the other extreme. And rarely do we ever find ourselves somewhere in the middle. Now, middle kids, I've heard this theory that middle kids are usually the most understanding out of all the kids that are out there, right? Because they have an older sibling. So they're not the oldest in their family. They have the babies. And you babies know who you are. the trouble siblings, right? Because you're the babies. You can get away with everything. You've seen everything that everybody else has gone through, right? And you got like 7 or 8 parents, right? But it's the middle child that's always, and from what I understand, has the better understanding of the rules and regulations that are out there. The oldest child takes on all not the responsibility, but all the stress of trying to be the one to make the best decisions. And it's just always been that way. We've always talked in absolutes. So, when we always talk about the tortoise and the hare situation, it's very hard for most of us to enter the market because let's say you don't have a 401. Let's say you're not working for an employer, and you don't have a 401k, right? How else are you going to be able to get into the market? And what a lot of people will do is when they enter the market, when they decide to buy their first stock, they're really trying to look for short-term money, right? Because you control that account. You're usually buying something and selling it really quickly and buying something and selling it really quickly. And because you have access to those funds, more than likely, even if you made money, you're going to spend it. I don't meet too many people outside of their 401ks or IRAs that can hold a stock for 2, 3, 4, even 5 months. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but let alone 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So a long time ago, I created this term, and it's from dollar cost averaging, right? If you understand what dollar cost averaging is, and we talked about it earlier, during this 60-day challenge. And dollar cost averaging is simply buying something over and over and over again systematically. Or if you enter into a particular asset at different levels. You might buy some at the highs, buy some at the lows, buy some in the middle, but then over time, you're investing in that particular company. And what I found out is that most of the millionaires that I had consultations with, I would say probably 95% of the millionaires that I met all had 401ks in place, which is interesting, right? Because it seems like the entrepreneurs that were out there, they were struggling the most with obtaining wealth. And it was those employers that were matching them, and they had these 401ks. But in my opinion, the reason why they were able to obtain that wealth for all of these particular years was because you didn't have access to those funds. I couldn't spend those funds until I retire. And you systematically had funds going into that account. But here's what I also noticed with all of these millionaires. The ones that actually hit $1 million out of their 401ks, they were much older. They were like 60, 70, almost 80 years old. So that told me something also. That told me that they weren't invested in something like the S&P 500. They were, not only were they being conservative, they were being ultra conservative. Because they should have hit that account should have been at 2, 3, 4 million if they were 70 or 80 years old. And most of my peer group that was working over the last 20 years, because you figure this, if you're putting, $15,000 to $20,000 away in an account for even 10 years, it's like 200 grand. You've been working at your company for 20 years. That's almost $500,000. Thank you, Alex R. And the majority of the individual that were in my peer group that's been working for about 20 years, they also were sitting on somewhere between $400,000 to $500,000. They were millionaires because you had to piece together different things. They probably owned a $600,000 or $700,000 house to go along with the $500,000 401k that they had. And then if they had a spouse and they had a 401k, there are easy ways to get to that million. And that's not even including insurance policies that they have and life insurance policies. And, these are all the things that millionaires have in place that allows them to become a millionaire, piecing together multiple things that give you that support or that foundation. And I talk about this all the time, that most millionaires that you're meeting, guys, are not just liquid millionaires that they just made off the stock market or out of the crypto market, right? A lot of the time they were millionaires because, yes, they had the 401ks, but they also had other accounts that were set up, including real estate. Maybe they owned some exotic cars and some, artwork, right? Different things that go up in value over time. Thank you, Mrs. Treetop, for the fest gear and the heart me. And that's what the millionaire mindset is all about. It's not to frustrate you. It's to let you know that you can get there, guys, in many different ways. Now, what's the beauty of being in this room? The beauty of being in this room, guys, is I'm not going to be an all or nothing type individual. You're not going to come in here and I'm not going to say, we're not going to talk about cryptocurrency, guys, and we're not going to talk about any of those speculative meme stocks and none of that stuff and options and futures. We're just going to strictly talk about investing in yourself. Good Lord, if I was in a room that only talked about that, only talked about being the tortoise, I would go crazy. And then I'm also not that individual that's like, hey, we're only going to talk about crypto and options, and we're not going to talk about investing in yourself systematically. We're not going to talk about investing in Microsoft and Nvidia over time and setting up 401ks. Because if I was in here just strictly talking about trading all the time, getting in and out of the market, I would go crazy also. You got to find your place somewhere in the middle. That's the beauty of this room. Everybody's going to be able to talk to each other. And if you set yourself up 3 different ways, it will allow you guys to get to those millions faster. See, you guys don't have conversations with millionaires. I do. All the time. Well, I did until I stopped doing consultations for the last 50 days. And what it allows a lot of you guys to do is to open up your portfolios and freely talk about the different asset classes, where you want to be aggressive, where you've been underperforming the market. And that's what I do. All right. Now, I'm not a financial consultant. I'm really just an average Joe that kind of understands a little bit of everything. But coach than a financial planner. Go hire a financial planner if you want somebody to show up and try to get your business. I don't want your business. I just want to have fun and teach you guys the same way I'm having fun in the market. So one of the things that I created was this thing called a stock. Well, I used to call it a stock mortgage. I changed the wording because a lot of people, mortgage kind of scares you. When you hear mortgage, you kind of think obligations, you think a whole bunch of money, you think I got to have a job, you think, it's just the kind of word that kind of scares people from the obligations of paying themselves. Now, a subscription service also sounds like an obligation, but it's not as big as a mortgage. So I decided, let me call it a stock subscription. So that stock subscription, guys, is something that you're going to have to create on your own. This is where you actually get to those millions, in my opinion, a lot easier and a lot faster, even if you have a 9-to-5 job. This is what every single person in this room can do, but it takes discipline to be able to do it. So again, what is this stock subscription? It's a subscription that you make for yourself. So in the comment section, I want you guys to freely, you don't have to, I want you to put in the comment section, what's the highest amount of money you pay a month in some type of subscription? I don't care if it's Netflix. I don't care if it's a subscription to a medical place. I don't care if it's for lawyer, to have lawyers at your, have access to lawyers. Like, what's the highest amount of money that you pay a month for a subscription? I see some people talking about Disney. Okay, Netflix, $38. That's how much Netflix is charging me now. It's crazy. $90. Okay. Most of us are paying like what, $75, $90, $85 for the gym. Yeah, I think I pay $50 in Peloton, right? So then what I want you guys to do is think about all the subscriptions you have. Like I have an Apple Music subscription. I got a Spotify subscription. I got a subscription to Hulu. I got a subscription to Peloton. I got a YMCA membership. I got a Sirius XM subscription for like 3 cars. And I know my 2 sons don't use Sirius in their car. I think if I added up all of my subscriptions a month, I'm pretty sure it's close to about $500 minimum a month. So we're used to paying subscriptions, and it doesn't really even bother us, right? Because we're like, oh, we got access to these different items if I want to use it one day. If I want to use Sirius, I want to be able to jump in my car and listen to CNBC or listen to fantasy football or listening to what's going on, on the Golf Channel, no matter where I am. I have bought enough subscriptions where if one app goes out, I can go to another app and get the same information I need. So we're used to paying subscriptions, but we're getting something out of it. We're getting a service, but we haven't created a subscription for our own selves. So we got to get better at doing that, right? So we know about the story about the tortoise and the hare. Our whole lives, all they taught us was the tortoise and the hare, right? Tortoise or the hare, slow or fast, fast or slow or fast. And they tried to make it seem like the fast route was the worst route, right? And it's not all the way true. The tortoise was always slow and steady. It was usually, in relation to the stock market, the tortoise is the conservative investor, the investor that has the 401k, they're long-term savers. They move very cautiously. They prioritize safety over speed. A lot of them may be invested in bonds and CDs and a lot of these different things that bore us to death. Like me talking about, I almost fell asleep just now, right? But it protects you, right? Because it's low volatility. But what ends up happening is when you're conservative like that, when you're a tortoise and the conditions are right, everything we get left behind. And I'm not saying get left behind a little bit. You get left behind a lot. There's a lot of you, right? There's a lot of people here right now that's been earning 3 or 4% when the stock market or Apple or Amazon, and at one point during the year, the market was up 23%. You know how long it would have taken you to get a 23% return? Close to 5 to 6 years. 6 years it would have taken you to get the appreciation that the market did in about 6 or 7 months. So being conservative, guys, is not always the smartest way to go. And I'm not telling everybody not to have a 401k. I'm just saying that you guys should have been doing it all. You should have the tortoise approach as well as the hare. But then when you go to the opposite extreme, you have, and a lot of your younger generation is doing it. They come into the market and they're going off of pure speed. They're usually aggressive traders, high risk, high reward. They're usually trading stuff like options. Y'all love the options class. When I was teaching the options class, guys, my number total for people being in here, I think I maxed out at like 143 people live at one time. We love to hear about that fast money, right? You win big, you win fast, but mistakes are brutal. Mistakes are brutal. A lot of the times you guys come in with all the intentions of making money and then you blow out your whole freaking account. And then I don't see you guys for about 4 or 5 years because it hurts so much and you were wrong so bad that you don't want to experience that feeling anymore. No one wants to enter something that gave them a bad feeling. Like, why would I want to be in the market when I felt the worst I ever felt? I felt like I was on top of the world one day and it was all taken away from me in a split second. So the core lesson, guys, is speed alone doesn't win. Speed plus the environment plus the discipline wins. Now, I know you guys are looking at my chart and you're like, well, what's that turtle that's in the middle? We don't talk about this turtle a lot. When we talk about the tortoise and the hare, we always think about the land turtle. We never think about the water turtle or the sea turtle. We never think about the sea turtle because that's not what we're taught. We're taught to be on one extreme or the other extreme. When in fact, this leatherback turtle that you're looking at right here is one of the most efficient creatures on the planet. Leatherback turtles can travel up to 22 miles an hour. So for people to say turtles are slow, the leatherback turtle can go at 22 miles. Guys, y'all know how fast that is in the water? That's faster than Michael Phelps. That's faster than any swimmer that you know. Very, very efficient and fast. It's not quite as fast as the hare. The hare can travel at like 30, 35, I believe. But it's definitely not as slow as the tortoise. But it's still a turtle. It's still safe. It's still in a protective shell. Okay? So I want you guys to think about that. Think like the leatherback turtle. There's always extremes. You guys should be somewhere in the middle. Okay? I still want you guys to have your 401ks that are set up. I still want you guys to learn how to trade options and futures, but I don't want you to lean on one or lean on the other, because both you're probably going to end up losing and not getting to the finish line of making those millions. The way that you get there, guys, is to do all three. But you really, really do need to spend a lot more time here, right smack dab in the middle. And that's where most of you guys are not doing. Big smack dab in the middle, guys, is owning the Apples, the micro. It's funny because it's owning the Apples and the Microsofts and the Nvidias and the Peloton. It's owning the Teslas and all of these different companies that were created to make money. But when I ask people, are they invested in these? They're either on one end, well, no, Joel, I can't own stocks because I have a retirement portfolio and I don't have time to buy stocks. Or they say, hey, I got a little bit of time. And then they're trying to trade options and futures and get into this Indy 500 car, but you don't want to learn how to use charts. So then you fail on both ends. And even when you're on this side and you're investing for over these years, when it's time to retire, you are underperforming the market, even though you were doing the right thing, taking the tortoise route. How do I know this? Because I've done thousands of consultations. I see your portfolios. I know what you're doing. So I want to show you guys something. Most of you, when you filled out your 401k, when you first sat down with that person that you've never met before, that was sitting in that nice suit and that nice tie, and they said, all right, here you go. You have 10 seconds. All right, they usually give you about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 or 10 minutes. There's 3 boxes to check: aggressive, moderate, or conservative. If you were able to say moderate, because all of us will say, I don't want to be at the top or the bottom. I want to just kind of be moderate. I don't want to be too conservative. I definitely don't want to be aggressive. I just got this job. I just want this money to work for us, work for me. Usually, if you hit moderate, guys, more than likely, they're going to put you in something like the S&P 500. Now, if you're lucky enough to max that 401k out and those funds go into the if those funds are able to go into the S&P, and you're getting, those are funds are on the first of every month or whenever that 401k is paid. If that was going into the market systematically, I'm just going to assume that it was $1,500 a month. Do you guys know that if you had done that, you would have reached $1 million? Where is it? Right here. You would have reached $1 million in about 2012, in about 13 years. Okay. In about 13 years, you would have earned about a 14% return in the S&P 500. Let me make sure that's the S&P. Yep, in the S&P 500. And from, I think it's actually 2011, so it took 14 years. In 14 years, if you were to go and work every day, in 14 years, you could have gotten to $1 million with a $1,500 payment. I say payment, but that money is coming out of your check. 15 years, you'll hit $1 million. If you were moderate. Not, conservative, moderate. $1,500. This calculator we're looking at is called the Don't Quit Your Day Job calculator. Even looking at this chart, you guys see how there were moments in the chart where your account actually went up and then it went down. and then it spiked up, and then it spiked down, and then it spiked up at 800. At one point, the account was worth $800,000. It dropped all the way down to about 650 before it rose to $1 million. So thinking that you're going to get there, guys, the easy route, that's just not how it goes. That's not how the market works. But in about 15 years, you would have been sitting on $1 million. I've seen accounts where people have been investing in it for over 20 years, and they barely had $500,000 in it. Now, let's say you wanted to get a little bit more. Let's say you hit that aggressive tab. Let's say you went up top and you said, instead of being conservative or moderate, I want to click aggressive for my 401k. More than likely, you were probably invested in either an emerging market index or something that was similar to the NASDAQ. Now, if you had invested in the NASDAQ with your 401k, and this is not the stock, this is the NASDAQ. And remember, the S&P was giving you about a 14% return every year, which is actually pretty decent. For 14 years in a row, you averaged about a 14% return. And that was being moderate. If you were just a little bit more aggressive, you would have hit $1 million in about 13 years. So you would have gotten there 2 years earlier if you took a more aggressive route with the NASDAQ. You would have earned about a 20%, 19.57% return in the NASDAQ. Now, a lot of you guys can do this on your own. You can open up a 401k, you can open up an IRA. You can open up an IRA, a self-directed IRA. Make sure that you talk to your financial planner or financial people that are out there. And, and this doesn't mean that you're going to get the same returns. I want everybody to understand this. This does not mean that what you see here, and Joel, you told me in 13 years, if I did this should happen. No, in the past 13 to 15 years, if you had gone this particular route, this is what the numbers spit out. The market may change. It might get there faster. It might get there slower. But what did we notice? We noticed that you still ended up making money over time with an average return each year of about 19%. It's pretty good. It's way better than any CD that I've seen that's out there, or dividend. Now, in my opinion, guys, this isn't even the leatherback turtle. In my opinion, this is still the tortoise. This is the tortoise, in my opinion, the way that I'm looking at it. 13, like 15 years, I'm only going to have $1 million? Do you know how much inflation's going to be in 15 years? And y'all know that your real estate is supposed to double every 7 years? If real estate is going to double every 7 years, you telling me if I wait 20 years to buy a house, most of these $300,000 houses that I'm looking at are probably going to be worth $1 million in about 15 years. And I'm only going to have $1 million. Okay? So in my opinion, this is still the tortoise way of approaching the market. But you still get there in 12, 13, 14, 15, let's just say 17 years. So how do you get there a little bit faster? How do you become that leatherback turtle or leatherback tortoise? Most of us have what? Insurance. Most of us have insurance, especially if you have a car. This is Allstate, guys. I'm going to show you guys 5-year plans because, 15 and 20 years still discourage a bunch of you guys. You're like, Joel, that's just a long time to wait. I'll just wait until I get rich. By then, I'll just marry for money, right? I'll get there eventually. But it's just like 5 years. Let's look at some scenarios since COVID. You remember when you guys were getting those PPL loans? If you had invested some of those funds, what could have happened? Look at some of the things that are out there. Now, I'm going to focus mainly on things that have subscriptions, right? Any company that has a subscription model or an amount of money that you have to pay systematically. That's what we're going to focus on today. Companies like an Apple, companies like a Netflix, right? Netflix has a subscription you pay every month. Apple has subscriptions that you pay. Well, insurance companies, most of us have to pay this over a 3-month or a 6-month or sometimes a 1-year period as well. What if I put $500 and $500 is a lot. I get it. But I had to pick a number that can give you a substantial amount in a 5-year period. Most of us here already pay a minimum of $500. If you pay less than $500 for a car that you're driving, congratulations. That car was probably built in 1990. And I ain't trying to crap on your car. I'm just saying nowadays, if you got a loan on a vehicle, I rarely see anything less than $500. Let's say instead of you going and getting that average car, I don't want to say average because I don't know where everybody is in their life. So I'll just say instead of getting that vehicle that you wanted, where you're paying $500 a month. And I did the same thing when it came to buying the Teslas that we have. I decided instead of buying a vehicle that I wasn't going to be happy with, paying $500 a month in, the loan, why don't I just what I did was I put $500 in Tesla every month for 5 years, Tesla stock. We're not even going to look at what that ended up being because I've done that in plenty of other webinars, but we're going to focus on insurance, right? Let's say the same insurance company that we use, which is Allstate. Let's say I put $500. Let's say I pay my regular insurance claim, my regular insurance. But let's say I put an additional $500 a month in the same company that I'm using. Now, a lot of the times in 5 years, the insurance companies will give you remember after about 5 years, they'll say, hey, since you haven't been in an accident, even though you've been paying this every month, we'll give you back like $300 or $400. And we feel like we hit the lottery. Me and my wife be fighting on who's going to cash that check. I'm like, oh, I got this bill to pay. And she's like, but I got this bill to pay. Right? It'd be like $500. It's like you hit the lottery, right? But what if you just put $500 in Allstate? Do y'all know in a 5-year period, it would be worth about $50,000? $500. I promise you, if you bought a vehicle that was $48,000, I promise you're not going to pay $500 a month for 5 years. You're probably paying close to $1,000 a month or more for a $50,000 vehicle. I mean, if you got crazy, great, credit, 800 credit score, I think my mom just bought a vehicle close to that and she wasn't paying $1,000, but her credit is immaculate. She got like one of the lowest rates I've seen for a vehicle. She just purchased a vehicle. I helped her buy a vehicle like 2 weeks ago, but it wasn't $500. That's being conservative, guys. It's a 19% return. You remember how the NASDAQ was averaging about a 19% return, and I said that was the aggressive portion of your 401k, and that did get you to $1 million in about 13 years? Well, in 5 years, a $500 investment would have averaged about 19% in Allstate. This is that leatherback approach. It's the leatherback approach, somewhere in between. Let's look at another one. What's another company that has a subscription service? Apple. Check this out. Same amount of money, $500, invested in Apple for 5 years. You're looking at about $60,000. Allstate, which was conservative, was $48,000. Apple, just a little bit more aggressive, $500 into it a month, just for 5 years. Guys, Apple was averaging a 29% return a year for 5 years. That is stupid. Stupid high. And at one point, your Apple investment was worth more than that. Y'all see this chart? It was probably sitting at about 70,000 just a couple of weeks ago. It recently started to go down again. You didn't get there in a straight line. Y'all see those hiccups? The hiccups is actually a good thing, guys, because on the hiccups, you're buying it at the lows of those hiccups as the stock starts to rise. But there's nowhere in this chart, except for maybe the first year, not even the first year. It looks like you were almost always profiting. You always had equity. And that value just kept going up over a 5-year period. Let's say you wanted to get a little bit more aggressive. Have you guys heard of Netflix? We talk about Netflix all the time. You pay that $38 or $40 a month. All right, what if I paid $500 in Netflix, a subscription to myself? Oh, my fault. This isn't even Netflix. This is Spotify. Sorry about that. Spotify, guys. Spotify subscription service supposedly surpassed Apple in subscriptions. $500 a month. Tell me what vehicle on this planet can you pay $500 a month and pay off an $87,000 car? You would have to have a negative interest rate to be able to invest that. Because, when you think about it, $500 times 12 is $6,000, times 5 is a $30,000 investment. You almost made 3 times your money in a 5-year period. And something that you guys use every day. Everyone knows that Spotify isn't going away. Spotify is number one app used for podcasts. It's not going away. Numbers keep increasing. They're not even in all the countries yet. Still growing. $500 investment, subscription service to yourself to match the subscription that you're already paying. And I'm just showing you guys all the things that I have a subscription in. My Allstate, right? My Apple, my Spotify, my Netflix, my Apple. You start adding these things up, you start saying, dang, in a 5-year period with about a $1,500 investment, I could have paid off my house. My house. We don't think like that. For so long, guys, we thought if I buy a house, I'm obligated to this house for the next 30 years. But I could have been investing $1,500, the same amount of money I might pay in my mortgage, into some of these companies, and I can dang near pay off half the house or a quarter of the house. That's wild. Last one. I think this one's Netflix. I had it in the wrong order. You guys were supposed to see the big number with, oh no, that's Allstate again. I had it in the So guys, you guys got to take the leatherback approach. Now, I have a list here. I have a list of companies. All I did today was I went on Chat GPT, which I also have a subscription with. And I asked it, what are some companies? What are the top 10 brokerages that are out there? What are the top 10 fractional share brokerages that are out there? So if you've been coming here for the last 50 something days, you would have learned that stock price is an illusion. From now on, we're never buying a stock based off of its stock price because it's an illusion. It's an illusion to make you think that it's cheap or expensive based off of the stock price or how big it is. We're no longer doing that because that's what beginner novices do. We're no longer going to buy penny stocks because penny stocks is where you go to lose money. They're unregulated pump and dump schemes that are designed to take your money. So we're no longer going to enter into these things that the financial world created to steal from you. We're now going to be a lot more educated. Stock price is no longer an obstacle. You can create your own stock price in any company if you go with the right brokerages, right? So the top 10 that are out there, number one is going to be Fidelity. Now, Fidelity is who I use for my retirement account. Fractional shares means if I look up and I see Netflix is $100 a share and I only got $10 and I want to buy $10 worth of Netflix, I can buy $10 worth of Netflix and I'll own 1/10 of a share. If Netflix stock grows 10 times its value, then I'll own a full share because my 1/10 will grow 10 times its value. That's how you should approach the market, not by how many shares you can buy, but how much you have invested. I have a base amount that I invest in companies. I invest about 10 grand. That's it. I don't care if it's one share or 100 shares. I don't care. I got some stocks I got 50 shares in. I got some stocks I might have 4 shares in. And sometimes the one with 4 shares makes more money than anything else. Look at my Bitcoin. I bought one single Bitcoin for $5,000. It was one coin, one full coin for $5 grand back in 2018. That full coin is now worth what? 100 grand. Well, we hit 90,000 today. Leatherback approach. Not aggressive, not conservative. Doing all three at the same time. A lot of you guys don't have to go the quick and fast route. But teach it to you because that's what I do. But I don't want you guys to lean only on options. Because if you do that and you put all your eggs in one basket, you're probably not going to get to the promised land. I don't mean to be negative. I'm just being real. You have to position yourself the way that a millionaire mind positions themselves. When you position yourself in business, you have to position yourself in a way that if you lose, if there are years where you don't make money, are you going to be able to survive? If Trump comes out with a tariff, are you going to be able to survive to trade and invest another day? Trump put out them tariffs and it changed nothing about the way that I invest or trade or swing trade. It changed nothing. It changed absolutely nothing. In fact, it gave me a better opportunity. I was like, this fool gonna make the market drop 30% and make, I don't even think it dropped 30%, 20%, and then made the volatility index jump above 50. Do it again. Do it again, please. So I can continue making money every time that VIX pops over 50. But if you're not positioned correctly to make millions, it's going to be hard to get there. If I lean too much on the conservative side, I'm not going to get there for 30, 35 years. If I lean too much on the aggressive side, I might have to keep re-upping. Can you re-up every time your $1,000 account hits 10, and then you might lose 5, and then you got to live off of it. And then you got lawyer fees over here that you might have to pay, or a tuition that you have to pay, or a down payment on a house that you need to pay. Because, life be life. How are you positioned in the market for your business to flourish? The only way you're going to survive, guys, is you got to have all three working for you. Because you're going to get hold of funds. And when those funds are in your hand, the best place for it is not a savings account. I did a cryptocurrency subscription that I started on January 1st so that I could make sure that Christmas was going to get paid for by Christmas. I put $100 into the market every week. I didn't care what the crypto market was going to do, because you guys are thinking, what if I lose? Well, if crypto goes down and I'm buying it every week, I'm buying it as it goes down and then as it goes up. It's a win-win-win situation if you believe things are going to be higher in the future. Oh, I'm going to lose. I'm buying it as it's losing. But crypto's going to drop 50%. Great. I'm going to buy some at 100, at 50, at 20. Because who cares if it's going to be 200 one day? Y'all do. Joel, I just can't take any more losses. I've been losing a lot lately. I just can't afford to lose. This is it. You stuck with $10? Like $10 is really going to affect your whole life? Or is that just an excuse? Y'all throw $10 in first gear. I done made $5 already. Excuses. Y'all got it. You just scared. And scared money don't make money. If you position yourself all three ways, I promise you it will be a lot easier to say, hey, I was in crypto all year and I'm up about 30-40%. I got a little bit of profits that I can move around here. I can buy a couple of options contracts and see what they do. I got a little bit of flexibility because I'm profiting. Or if you losing, hey, I can take a loss on that particular account for tax purposes, and then maybe get a tax return, in April. This is a business. All right. But there is a middle ground that I want you guys to take, that leather back turtle approach. That's where you guys are losing. That's where you guys are not knowledgeable of the market. The Nvidias, the Apples, the Microsofts, the Netflixes, there is no reason why all of us that are here today are not profiting off of that. You use the products every day. You either have an Apple or Android phone. You either got an Apple phone or an Android phone. That's Apple stock or Google stock. Choose one. They both dang near at all-time highs. You guys are social media masters. Dang near all of them, other than SNAP, are up in value. I don't know what's going on with SNAP. They making glasses. I don't know what they do. But you got FB making a killing. You got YT, which is y'all know YT is Google. Yes, you scared to buy Google stock? You got an Android phone, you do Google searches, you got Gemini subscription. You watch YT videos all day long, but you're afraid to buy Google stock. Yeah, Joe. You do? You got excuses. You don't know what it can actually do. You don't have a calculator where you can train your brain. I go and literally play games on this calculator, and I say, man, if I bought Google 5 years ago and I put this amount of money in it, how much would it be worth? Oh, if I put this amount of money, how much would it have been worth? If you don't play those games, you're not going to feel like it can happen. So I can understand why you would think, oh, the market is a casino. I'd rather monetize TikTok. You got a higher chance of making money investing in yourself in these companies that were created to make money than monetizing and making money on this platform. But if you don't understand the foundations of business and how a stock works, how the heck you gonna monetize TikTok? You're not afraid to send a fax gear, but you're afraid to buy a stock. As the as the as the GIFTS has come to me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If I missed it, I'm sorry. Thank you, Christina N was the last one that sent it. Thank you, Diamond, for the Go Populist. All right, before we go, oh dang, I'm 2 minutes over. I'm supposed at 7 o'clock let you guys know about what's going on in this particular room. So I did forget to put out a disclaimer. My name is Joel Harrison. I'm an expert in stocks, options, futures, and a little bit of cryptocurrency. I have over 30,000 hours of trading and investing experience. Been in the market for over a decade, and anything that I talk about today are the opinions of Joel Harrison. This is a DIY room. This is a do-it-yourself room. There's a lot of people that are on this platform that want to help me monetize it. Monetization and making dinero shouldn't be a thing that you're scared to tell people. If you're a live host, guys, every single solitary live host that's on TikTok is doing it so that they can make dinero. I don't know. I don't understand why you guys are scared to tell people that. I don't want anybody to know that I need them to you giving them free service. You're giving them a service. And if you're giving them quality education, you should be getting support. That's how we support each other on this particular platform. I'm here to help you guys and hold your hands to get to the promised land so that you guys can either buy your first stock or get to your first million. And it's gonna be hard. I'm gonna show you the tortoise way, the leatherback turtle way, and I'm gonna teach you, yes, of course, the hare. And we're going to have fun doing all three. But we're going to have well-rounded games. We're going to come into this game like LeBron and Michael Jordan and Kobe. They are the greatest ever because they could play defense, offense. If they were leaders on their particular teams. They weren't one-trick ponies. Steve Kerr was great, but all he could do is shoot. One of the greatest shooters of all time. Great coach. But when you can do all three, I can shoot. I can dunk on you. Like, you can't stop me. When you're unstoppable to getting to your millions, like, I don't get to a million either in 15 years, 10 years, or 1 year. You're unstoppable. Because you're going to get there either way. When you have that mindset that I'm going to get there either way, it makes it easier to go out there and buy something. But when you're clutching your purse or your pearls and trying to be tight with everything, and I get why. I get why. That's how we were raised. We were raised, we were raised to penny pinch. We were raised because a lot of us, our ancestors, we don't have anybody to lean on. We weren't inherited land and businesses and education, and we all had to work hard. A lot of us were the first to go to college. A lot of us are the first to buy a house. A lot of us are the first to buy a stock. And it sucks because that's like in the last freaking 30 years. How are some of us the first generation or second generation homeowners? I get it. I understand exactly why a lot of us are behind. How do we catch up? You got to get over it. You got to get over it. And you got to say, look, it's not an option anymore. I need to work towards this because it's essential. It doesn't make any sense why Apple is at all-time highs and my portfolio ain't. It don't make no sense why Microsoft is at all-time highs and my portfolio ain't. It don't make no sense why the stock market is at the highest point that has ever been in history and my account isn't. I've been working for 20 to 30 years. Why is my portfolio not gaining 20% every year? Because you're gambling, you're relying on that dude that you met at that table that one day that told you to pick them 3 boxes. You had a choice. It wasn't even red pill or blue pill. Thank you for the best gear I'm on this show. So I'm going to look at some of you guys' stocks. All right, let's get to some of you guys' stocks. So if you don't know what the format of this is called Ask the Trader format. In Ask the Trader, I do what I call a magic show. You guys are going to look at an advanced chart, so I have to explain how charts work. Stock charts are very easy to read. You're going to read them from left to right. So, if this is your first time here, you either want to hit that RECORD button and do that for this session, or you better have a pencil and start writing this stuff down, because I'm about to give you guys $1 million worth of information in the next hour for free. Why? Because I'm trying to monetize this particular platform, and I'm thankful for you guys' support while I'm doing it. So, I've created a universal way of looking at the market in my own words, in my own way. All of my charts are going to be pretty much consistent. There are going to be a couple of different colors. If you see a blue line, everybody sees that blue line on the chart right there? You guys see that blue line? What I do during this magic show is I show any and everyone that enters this room for the first time that I'm not even going to tell you what to do. The method is so universal and so easy to understand that you probably will get it in this particular session. And I honestly, in my opinion, think that it's worth more than any $15,000 or $20,000 class that you've already taken in this next hour, if you're focused. There's only 4 things you're going to look for. You're either going to look for that blue line to be angled up, or you're going to look at that blue line to be angled down. If it's angled up, we're going to buy. If it's angled down, we don't want to be around. If the chart is blue, we're looking for what I call swing trades. That's short-term investments. You buy something, you sell it 10 to 14 days. If you see a yellow line on my chart, I'm going to be using what we call a week chart. That's what a lot of traders will use to enter trades as investments, or if you want to be in something for about 2 or 3 months. What I'm teaching you guys is to quickly learn the bias of a company. Bias just means, is it bullish going up, or is it bearish going down? Is it bullish going up, or is it bearish going down? Is it bullish going up, or is bearish going down? So, in the comments section, can you guys tell me this chart that we're looking at right now, is the blue line angled up or down? Is it angled up or down? What you see right now on the screen. Is that blue line at the end of the chart, is it angled up or down? So anytime we see up, guys, that's going to mean bullish. If we see that angle down, guys, we don't want to be around. Now, the only thing that I ask you guys to do is we're going to learn how to talk to everyone that enters this room. You're going to get three types of people that come into this room. You're either going to get your intraday traders that are getting in and out of the market the same day, up to about 7 days. You're going to have the type of trader that wants to buy something and maybe sell it, with a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. And then you're going to have your investor. So three types of people, which is why I showed you guys the tortoise, the hare, and the leatherback turtle. We're going to learn how to talk to everyone at the same time with the same strategy. You guys are also going to see a 90% correlation on every single chart that we look at. Your only job is that you have to be able to give me a company or a stock or an asset that has a market cap larger than $1 billion. That's it. And then kind of tell me, is this a intraday trade getting in and out the same day? Is this a swing trade or is this an investment? That's your only job. Joel, I want you to look at Apple as an investment. Great. We're going to look at the yellow line. Joel, I'm just looking for an option play on Microsoft for about 10 to 14 days. Great. We're going to use the blue line. I need to change the 5-minute to maybe orange. I think I'm going to start doing that because my 5-minute chart has a yellow line. So I'll change it to orange if I get an intraday question. All right. Do you guys want the magic show to start? All right. What my moderator is going to do is they are going to give me a stock. I don't know what stock it is. That means I didn't have time to research it and build it up so that it can go in the direction that I think I wanted it to go into. That's what makes this a magic show. And I'm going to show you guys how to look at a very, very clean chart and know 90% of the time what direction it's probably going to go into. So Steve Spooner wanted us to look at Microsoft short term. I'm assuming that's going to be a day chart. So I'm going to pull up Microsoft. In the comment section, can somebody also tell us, because we want to learn everything at one time, right? Can somebody also tell me, well, I think I already have it here, what the market cap of Microsoft is also? What's the market cap of Microsoft? Meaning, how big is that particular company? All right, so I'm gonna make a clean chart. All right, guys, is this blue line angled up or down? What do you guys see? Is this bullish or bearish? Somebody in the comment section, let me know, because I'm not teaching it today. You guys are. It's up. It's a $3.5 trillion company that's going up. Now, what a lot of you guys don't know is that this blue line that you're looking at is the most used indicator on the planet. If you're learning about it today and you've taken several stock classes, fire your teacher. Immediately. Fire them. Because if they didn't teach you this, they basically didn't teach you how to dribble. They didn't teach you how to keep your elbow up when you shoot. They didn't give you the fundamentals of buying. And if I'm going to pay that much money for a class, I'm going to at least need to know how to dribble. If I take a swim class and I'm trying to learn how to swim and I pay thousands of dollars, I'm going to at least need some water. Nah, Joel, I want you to give me $1,000 for this swim class. You're going to learn how to swim on the deck. What? Yeah, that's what a lot of you guys are doing. You're learning these methods and you don't even have the understandings of the foundation. This blue line that you're looking at is the average price of that stock for the past 200 days. Are we above average, at average, or below average of that stock price? Above, below, or at the average? In the comment section, please. Are we above average, at average, or below average? We are at. Now, why are we at? Somebody tell me, why are we at? How do you know that we're at the average? How do you know that we're at the average? Because it's hitting the line, guys, the blue line. Now, is the average price of that stock going up or is the average price of that stock going down? I know you guys are looking at the stock price. Stop looking at the stock price. Is the average price in the last 200 days fundamentally going up or down? Is the average price fundamentally for Microsoft going up or down? It's going up. I know you guys see that the stock dropped in price, but all it did, guys, was drop to its average that's still rising. You are looking at a very, very bullish stock. Now, for those that are like, yeah, they can't see it yet, watch this. Somebody give me a year between 2010 and 2025. Somebody give me any year in the comment section between 2010. Actually, it can be between 2000 and 2025. Any year. I don't care what year it is. 2016, 2017, 2013. Watch this. All right, we got enough. We're going to go to 2016. We're going to look and see how many times Microsoft lost if you bought it at, this is 2016. This is 2016. I had no idea you guys were going to give me 2016 for Microsoft. You're going to do every single stock we look at just like this. Do y'all see this? How did everybody know to buy this at the blue line from 2016? How come everybody knew to buy it there? Guys, this is 2018. This is 2020. This is, now this was a bad one. This was 2022. Now here's the thing. I still lost, Joe. Okay, let's talk about what happened. Let's say you bought Microsoft right here because in 2016 it won, 2018 it won, 2020 it won. This is 2022. And you decide to do the same exact thing you've been doing for 6 years. And it hits the 200-day moving average. And you say, all right, I'm thinking about buying it again. You would have bought it somewhere around $296. Okay, around $300 a share. Now watch this. Even if I bought it at $296 and it started to go up. Now, guys, it went from $296 all the way to $320, just so that you know. It still rose about 10% from where it was. But watch this. What if I just knew, what did I say happens when the 200-day starts to angle down? When the 200-day starts to angle down, guys, you don't want to be around. If the 200-day is angled down, you don't want to be around. Even if you bought this around the 290 area, as soon as the 200-day started to angle down, you should have been out of this stock at 260. So you would have taken a 10% loss just off of up and down. That's it. No Bollinger Band, no MACD histogram, no stochastics, no Elliott wave, no pivot points. Strictly off of up and down and colors. And then once you were out at 260, you would have licked your wounds. But look at how much money you would have saved. It dropped all the way down to 240. Now the 200-day is angled completely down. But you know what people did? They still bought it because they thought it was on sale because they knew nothing about the 200-day moving average. They knew nothing about it because they don't use charts. So even though it dropped down here and it could have been a good buy, this should have given you the strength to say 200 days ain't go down. Joel Harrison ain't gonna be around. And then he comes up to it and it's blue line. And then look at what happens. It drops. Now, I knew it was going to drop. The hedge funds out there knew it was going to drop. The billionaires out there knew it was going to drop. Even Microsoft knew it was going to drop. You know who didn't know it was going to keep dropping? People that don't use charts. So I could have sat out of Microsoft. I always spend a lot of time with the first one before I look at everybody else's. Because you got to understand the magic show and the strategy first. Then it went down in value because you didn't know how low it was going to go. It's going to sell at 250, Joel. It's going to sell at 240, Joel. It's going to sell, Joel, at 230, 220, 200. When does it stop going down? Is that 200-day angled up yet? No. Well, it's going to keep going down. It's telling you that over 200 days, the average price keeps going down. Over 200 days. That is fundamentally telling you guys that money is coming out. It's leaking. It probably has an ACL tear or MCL strain. It doesn't mean that Microsoft can't take you to the championship. It's just injured. And while it's injured, I'm going to put in the backup. Somebody whose 200 day is angled up, who doesn't have any ACL tears or MCL tears. Because even the second string and third string quarterback is better off than the quarterback who just injured their ACL. But y'all want to buy these injured companies not knowing they injured. Microsoft's a hell of a company. It's injured. Let it go through rehabilitation. While it's going through rehabilitation, I'm going to wait and look. 1 year later, the injury is healed. And guess what I can do now? It's 2023. Guess what I can do now? The 200 day is angled up. Oh boy, I've been waiting for this for a whole year while it was recovering. And then you go back to the same crap. Look, it didn't even give you a chance to get to the 200. Didn't even give you a chance. But if you trade the way that I trade, you'll be able to just put a line here. And when it breaks that trend and it goes green, you would have known to make money. Look. And this is what's happening. Wait, is this what's happening now? This is 2025. You see how it keeps bouncing off of this 200 day right here? That's not a fluke, guys. That's people like me, technicians, that are trying to catch these bumps, these moves to the upside. Day traders, oh my God, they loving this. Because every time it hits the 200 day, they catching 10. You talking about a 10-day option or a 7-day option that just keeps winning? Look at this. You making money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It sells off. Look at this. It breaks the trend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. It sells off. Look at this. Look at these 10-day moves very, very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I use the day chart for 10-day trends. Day chart. So a lot of you guys are looking at day charts, using it for the wrong reason. I'm using a day chart for 10 to 14-day trends because I've learned that on any chart that you look at, candles usually trend for about 10 candles. I teach the 10 candle method. That's one of my teachings. There go your 10, 10, 10, 10. So what's happening right now? That was her question. Her question right now is the 200 day is angled up. We really haven't broken a trend. Here's what's confusing. A lot of people have been asking me, Joe, is this the time to get in? It bounced off the 200 day and it's starting to go green. No, Joel is not getting in this. Now, you could have taken a trade there and here. Guys, if you're confused, just think this. Buy when they hit the blue line. Joel, I'm confused. You buy when it hits the blue line. What are you confused about? You hit the buy button. You hit the BUY button when it hits the blue line. But Joel, how do I know when it hits the blue line? Well, you got to learn how to look at a chart. But I'm not going to get in until it breaks this white line. That's what we call breaking trend. It's a downtrend. A lot of you guys are in a downtrend right now on TikTok. A lot of you guys did this. A lot of you guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of you guys were in the D group, D league, and you moved. You were in the D league. We were in a bullish time right before the holidays, and your stock in TikTok went up in value. You went from the D league to D5 to D4 to D3 to D2 to C5 to C3, and then all of a sudden, let's say you went on a vacation for a week and you started losing frags. And now you're trying to build your base back, but you're in a downtrend. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your stock. You still could be bullish. Even stocks that are really, really bullish, guys, they go down in price. Just because you go from a B league to C league does not mean that there's something foundationally wrong with your stock or your live performances. It just means now you're going to level out a little bit. You're going to bottom out, and when you bottom out, you're going to see the lowest numbers that you get in your room. That should be the lowest number. And then as you start building it, as we start coming out of this holiday period where everybody's going live, everybody's using their funds to, fund, other, they're buying, GIFTSs out there for their loved ones. So they don't have the type of funds to be throwing you galaxies and stuff here on TikTok. You'll probably start seeing it pick up again right after Christmas. And then you're going to start seeing your stock grow. And not only is it going to start growing, it's going to be even stronger. Once stocks pull back like this and then they get back to where they originally were, they're usually stronger than they were the first time. And I want you guys to understand that stocks and you being a stock on this platform are very, 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 very similar. You can't get frustrated when your stock starts to go down. Guys, Apple goes down 20% every single solitary year. A lot of you guys didn't know that. You guys are going to buy Apple for the first time. And when it's down 10%, you're going to think something's wrong with the company. But if you don't look at charts and you don't see that 200 day is angled up to increase your luck, you're going to say, oh, I didn't expect it. I didn't know that it was bullish and everybody was just waiting for it to bottom out at a certain level so that they can jump in. Because imagine if you hadn't bought Apple yet. Why am I going to buy Apple at its all-time highs when I know it's going to pull back 20%? I'm going to wait until it pulls back 20 and then I'm going to jump in. But a lot of you guys do the opposite. You buy things when they're at their all-time highs. All right. So what I'm going to do now is because I've taught you guys how to do this, I'm not going to go through explanations again. I'm just going to show you your stock and I'm just going to ask you guys from the comment section, what do you think? Okay. Let me get the next stock, Meta, 30-day option. All right. So when we pull up Meta, very first thing I want you guys to tell me is what is the market cap of Meta? And is this now you can do one of two things when you're looking at Meta. You can look at either a day chart or a week chart. Now, what direction is this blue line angle? It's a $1.6 trillion company. Is this blue line angled down or up? It's actually angled a little bit down. It's starting to angle up. If you were going to take a shot at Meta, in my opinion, you're a little bit too late. I'm going to tell you why. You remember how I told you that the market usually trends for like 10 to 14 days? I know you're looking for a 30-day option, but watch this. If you were using a day chart and we broke this trend, you are in day. Y'all see how many green candles are here? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, I guess this was 10 and then it came down. So this could be 4 days. But it looks like this been trending up for 15 days. Stocks don't trend for 30 days and 60 days in a row. When you get like a 15-day trend to the upside, a lot of the times we stay sideways. But let's see if the only reason why I'm going chart for chart is because the question was in between time frames. So I'm also going to look at a week chart. The week chart is angled what direction? So you're talking about a company that's very, very, very bullish. But what color do you guys see on the week chart? Is that red or green? What color do you guys see? Red or green? Red is not good for swing trades. You want this bad boy to be green. Look at the charts, guys. Just look with your own eyes. Don't even think about what I'm doing or saying. Watch the chart. I'm going to go all the way back to 2023. You guys are looking at a chart. Just use your eyes. Do you guys see more green or more red on that upper chart? Do you guys see more green? Hold on. Or red? Do you guys see that when it's green, it trends for a very long time? The reds are short. You're getting like 20 greens, 5 reds. 20 greens, 5 reds. 4 reds. 10 or 15 greens, 2 reds. 10 greens, like 6 reds. 10 greens. And look, we've matched, the red has matched the amount of greens that you saw. That's not good. This is the most amount of red that we've seen in 2 years. So what is that telling you? Just off a statistical basis. I'm trying to teach you guys how to back test. If I see 15 greens, 3 reds, 10 greens, 2 reds, 15 greens, 3 reds, then all of a sudden, I got the most reds that I've seen in 3 years. Look at what happens when the reds start matching the greens. It's not good. So, does that mean you can't take a trade to the upside? No. It just means, guys, I'm going to draw something very, very simple. This is what I'm going to draw, a trend line. If Meta can break above this white line and get a couple of green candles, that means 3 weeks of green candles. Then I might say the trend has changed. There's nothing on this chart that doesn't show that there's a downtrend happening in Meta. Now, anything can happen. You've had people say, well, Joel, what if we're forming an upside down head and shoulders pattern, which is the most bullish pattern in the stock world? That means we're forming a shoulder. It still goes with what I'm saying. If this is an upside down head and shoulders pattern, which is very, very, very advanced, we still got to break through this white line to get there. If we can break through that white line and stay there, then I would believe in Meta. But the charts are telling me otherwise. The charts are telling me it might be short-term bearish just for a little while. 200-day is angled down. We just had a 15-day run where the candles are green. We have not broken above this white line yet. We have to break above this white line in order for this to be bullish. That's why Joel wouldn't even take a trade until we were on the other side of this white line. Now, a lot of you guys just got confused, and that's fine. We're going to go through the whole process again next. We're going to go through the same process next January the 1st. Okay. All right. Let me see the next stock. CAT intraday. All right, so this is an advanced strategy that you guys are about to look at. This is Caterpillar trading using the 513 crossover to get 100% return. Now, first of all, Caterpillar's beta is really, really low. If you're trying to get 100% return in a company in a day using options, you're going to have to go with a higher beta stock. I'm going to see if it happens, though. So we're going to look at CAT. I'm going to lose a lot of you investors and traders right now, but that's fine. You guys are going to see how day traders think. A day trader would come into the market and see that CAT, they're not looking at the share price. They're going to look at Caterpillar. And I don't know if I'm going to be bullish or bearish today. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look at the ATR of Caterpillar. So if you don't know what the ATR is, it's the average true range of a stock for the last 14 days. Why is that important? Because I need to know how much the stock moves on a daily basis on average in the last 14 days when you're including volatility. Caterpillar, and you guys know what Caterpillar is. Caterpillar is the company that builds those big old tractors that do all the real estate stuff for us, digging up all the dirt. So Caterpillar's ATR, it does have a high beta. That's my bad. It does have a high. I don't know when Caterpillar became a high beta stock, but I apologize. I was wrong. Caterpillar has a 2.5 beta, which is right where you need it to be to make 100% return. It's Monday, which means you're going to get some big movements in the market. Caterpillar moves $17. So I don't know if that $17 is going to be from the lows to the highs or the highs to the lows. So I don't know if I'm going to be bullish or bearish. So I'm going to use a chart and I'm going to see whatever it says at 9:45 is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go into the market thinking I'm bullish. I'm not going to go into the market thinking I'm bearish. I'm simply going to pull up a 5-minute chart. And if it's angled up, I'm going to go long. If it's angled down, I'm going to go short. If you notice, this is what happened today. Can y'all tell me what direction is this yellow line aiming at 9:45 this morning? This is 9:45. What direction did you guys see this yellow line going? Is it up or down? Anybody that was short probably lost a whole bunch of money. It's telling you it's telling you what direction to go. It's telling us to go 17 points from the lows to the highs. So I want you guys to do some math for me. The lows of the day was $575. I just told you guys that Caterpillar moves $15 to $17 on average. So I'm going to try to get 15 points out of Caterpillar to the upside. So what day traders will do, guys, is they'll buy Caterpillar at like $5.75. They know it's going to move $15 either up or down. They're banking on it going up. So around $5.90, we should be thinking about getting out of Caterpillar if it gets to that level. And this is an average. This isn't what it's absolutely going to do. So at 9:45, until this starts to turn green, Joel wouldn't have bought this until I saw 3 green candles and I need it to be green and green. I don't see green and green yet. When do I see green and green? Right there. Y'all see that? I see green and green right here. Now, there's 2 things that are happening right now. which is why I probably wouldn't have taken this trade. One, hold up, I'm going to take something off so that you guys won't see the confused. You guys won't get confused with the chart. The 20-day moving average started to go down. Okay. So I would have been like, I don't know. And it's outside of the time that I enter different trades. I'm a trader that trades between 9:45 and 11 o'clock. I try to be in it between those times. I will hold it up until 12 o'clock. It's already 11:30 when it starts to turn green. Okay. Why wouldn't I have taken a short here when it started to go red? Because this needs to go down and I need red candles to go down. It's kind of like a stair. I don't want to, if I want to go up, guys, I need to see stair stepping patterns going up. I need to see 3 green candles going higher. But I also need the yellow line to go up. I don't see that. If I wanted to short the market, I want to see red candles going down because I'm stepping going down. I don't see that either here. But let's just say you blindly said, you know what? I think it's gonna go up in price. I think it can go to 575 plus 15, which is 590. So around 11:25, what I would do is I would go into the options market. Now this is super duper complicated what I'm about to show you. So I'm going to go into the options market. I'm going to look at the Friday expiration. And I'm literally, the option I'm going to pick, guys, is the one that everybody and their mama is buying. Now, when I go into the option chain, I don't see anything that I really like. But this option right here, which is the 590 strike, has the most volume. I typically want to see 1,000 contracts or more. I don't see that. I would definitely have not been in this trade. It has to be 1,000 or higher, and I just don't see my setup. But let's just say you took it. Even if you were wrong and you got the direction right, I would have picked this option. We would have got in somewhere around 11 o'clock, and I'm going to show you guys how much it would have made during that time frame if it made any money at all. So we're buying the 590 strike. We also know that if everybody's buying the 590 strike, it's probably not going to go to the 592 value that we thought it was going to go to. So then on this particular chart, if there was enough volume and you bought this when it turned green, you could have bought this option for about $240. That's going to be this value. And again, hopefully I'm not losing you guys. This is a super advanced option strategy. Super, like the most advanced you can get. This option, guys, at this price was about $240. All right, we're just assuming, right? We're just going. It's not everything isn't exact because we weren't there at the time. We're just going off of what we see, right? That option at 11 o'clock was $240. The highest price that this option got to was about $380. So it didn't quite give you 100% return, but it was up about 50%. Why didn't it move like all of those other options that we would see that I was showing you guys? Well, for one, there wasn't enough volume behind it. You heard what I just said? There wasn't enough volume. You barely had 500 contracts. I'm looking for 1,000 contracts or more if I'm intraday trading. There was only 380, and that was by the end of the day. So if I was buying that midday, it might not even have been 380. It might have been like 140 or 200. So you need to find something that has more options contracts being bought that's going to give you that move. Now, here was a low volume that still ran over 50%. This is what I call a losing trade that made you $140 off of a $240 investment, a little bit over 50%, and about, a couple of hours. Would I have been in this trade? No, I would not have been in this particular trade. All right. Hopefully I was able to answer that question for you. All right, we got 15 minutes. Let me grab another stock. Oh, and Steve Spooner made a good point. The VIX is at 14.08, meaning we have very, very low volatility. All right, gold futures on the 5-minute chart. You guys are asking some very complicated questions. All right, the futures contract. So if you were looking at this on a 5-minute chart and you were trading the futures, and I'm going to take off something, everybody in this room, before we even trade, what direction is this yellow line angled? Like, what's the bias? Is the bias up or down? Is the bias up or down? It's up. Nobody should have been shorting gold today. What is the ATR of gold? The ATR of gold is, which means what is the average move of gold? How much if I was looking at gold and I saw that it was $4,500 an ounce, how much is gold moving on a daily basis? Gold contracts, gold is moving at $72 on average. That means if I'm taking a trade from the lowest point and I see it at 44.60 and you add 70 points, well, 44.60 plus 70, guys, is 4,530. Oh, I think, I don't know. Math is all messed up right now. Okay. So if I look and I see that the low of gold was around 44.39, let's just say 44.40. The average move of gold is $70. So can somebody tell me what 4,440 plus 70 is? 4,440, which is this mark. We got a cheat sheet. So we know that gold is gonna move either up $70 or down $70. From the lows to the highs, $70, or from the highs to the lows. We see that it's bullish. We want to go in this direction. We know to get out after it moves $70. So if I was a betting man and I was trading gold and it was 9:45 this morning and I know that this was bullish, I'm not gonna get in it when it's all red. Joel would have been in gold right around here. Now I'm gonna take off this funky indicator because that can confuse a lot of you guys. I want you guys to see something. If I know that the bias is up, I'm not going to short. All I see are red candles. Red, 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 red. What direction am I trying to go? But as soon as it made a low and it starts to rise, I'm going to take 70 points from that low. When it finally started to move, there's when Joel would have been in, way up here. Joel, why would you give it way up there? Because I keep telling you guys, when things trend, they don't trend in one candle like you think they do. No matter what chart you look at, if you get the right bias right, it usually trends for 10 candles. Well, about on average 10 candles. That's 3 candles in. That means I can make money for 7 more candles. Which that's 7 times. That's like 35 more minutes. So I would have been in somewhere around there and I would have made this amount of money in gold. Y'all see that? Very, very simple. Not only did it give you 10 candles, it gave you more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But look at what happened after the 10th candle, guys. Y'all think I'll be playing when I tell you guys that the market trends in 10 candles. That's the 10th candle. And then it went sideways. Y'all see that? After 10 candles. 10 candle trends, then it went sideways. That's how the market moves. It moves up, 10 candles, chills. Up, 10 candles, chill. Even when it started to rise again from this small movement back to the upside, was about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This the 10th candle, guys, before it started to go down. Now that is red, I'm not going to be in this anymore. This is 12 o'clock. Now that it goes red, I'm going to hold off. I don't see any green. I'm going to hold off. I don't see any green. Where's the first 3 green? Well, this is angled down now. So I'm not going to trade this to the upside, which is why it couldn't. Oh, I guess it did hold it and then kept going. Once it started to angle back up again, here's your 3rd candle. Joel would have been in somewhere around here. What would have made me stay in it? Because I'm only 3 candles in on a 10 candle trend. That's how I know I'm not buying it at the highs. I got about 10 more candles for this to make me money. Look at that. And it was off to the races. To where we are right now. No one should have been bearish on gold today unless you just was bearish because you're using counter trending tools. All right, what's the next one? Thank you for the best gear, Dr. Lisa and Christina. Yeah, that was an amazing. That wasn't even a swing trade. That was just a day trade. Very easy. But if you came into the market this morning already bearish, that's why you lost money. When you're a day trader, guys, you got to come into the market neutral. I'm sorry. If you're an intraday trader and you want to get in and out of the market, it doesn't matter what type of studying you did last night. None of that crap matters. What matters as an intraday trader is whatever chart you're using, the 10 candles are going to represent the amount of time you want to be in that trade. So if you're using a 1-minute chart and you're wondering why you only see 10-minute trends and then it keeps reversing after about 10 minutes because you're using the wrong chart. If you want an hour trend in a stock, you better look at a 5-minute chart because 5 minutes times 10 is 50 minutes. If you want to be in something for a couple of hours, you probably want to use an hour chart. Because if I use an hour chart where every candle represents an hour and I get a 10 candle trend, then I can be in it for 10 hours. But you guys are using one chart and not knowing the time that you even want to be in it. And that's something that I help you with by simplifying your strategy for the amount of time you want to be in that trade. Time is so important when it comes into this game. Because I can throw up an hour chart, guys, and you're going to see a totally different chart with totally different values. But I promise you, if it's trending up, it's going to be 10-hour trends. If you're going back and forth through 4 or 5 different charts trying to make all of them line up, that is the worst strategies I've ever heard created in this market. Don't no freaking floor trader or intraday trader that's really good gonna go back and forth between 5 or 6 charts. The best traders pick one chart and they do everything they want to do right then and there. It's novice traders or traders that are making money off of education that are making you flip back and forth. Because the best ones that are out there, we don't have time. Guys, sometimes you got split seconds to get in some of these trades. I don't have time to be flipping back and forth between 6 or 7 charts, trying to figure out all of them lining up. Like, get out of here with that crap. All right, swing trade, Amazon. I know I'm spending a lot of time, but I'm trying to teach you guys how to think. Amazon chart. What direction is this blue line angled? What direction is this blue line angled? Up or down? Up or down? Up or down? Up. So why are you shorting Amazon? Why are y'all shorting Amazon? Because y'all don't know how to trade. That's why. You said a swing trade on Amazon. How did I know to use a day chart for a swing trade? Well, I could have used the week chart or the blue chart. Watch this. We're going to go all the way back to when Amazon was going, I don't know. I'm just going back to it. I'm going all the way back here when Amazon was bearish to kind of show you guys how, if you just look at the blue line and where it's angled, you would have known what to do. Guys, you're looking at a chart from 2011. If you had taken every trade here as a swing trade, just because this blue line is angled up, it started to go down in 2012. Watch this. You guys are gonna be amazed. I don't even think, hold on. Dang, I can't move this. Hold on. Watch this. Watch this. If you had just taken these trades right here, this is for a whole year. We're in 2011. If you had just taken these trades right here, it's red and then it goes green. You would have made money there. You would have made money there. Just going from red to green. Let's just say you only buy when you see it green. Joel, you mean to tell me all I got to do is wait till it turns green if that blue line is up and I'm going to make money 90% of the time? I'm like, yeah. Use your own eyes. This is 2011. That's 1 win, 2 wins, 3 wins, 4, 5 wins. 6 wins because it touched the blue line. Now, does this count? Nah, because it's still angled up, but we didn't break through the line. Remember, you got to break through this line. Look, 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 look. You have to break through the white line. It's kind of like those football players breaking through the little, that little plastic thing they go through. They break through it. When they break through it and it goes green, you buy. That's a win, a win, a win, a win. That's 4 wins in a row, 5 wins. You can say maybe this was, no, because it didn't come down to the blue line, 6 wins. This one didn't work because look at what's happening. Once the 200-day angles down, guys, that's why it's not working. Then, once the 200-day starts to angle up again, oh, dang, actually, that's a loss right there. I take that back. There's a loss right there, even though that's 7 days it went up in a row. 200 days angled down. Do y'all know y'all could have stayed? Oh, dang, we're not even looking at Amazon. Dang, why didn't anybody tell me that in the comment section? We were looking at gold the whole time. All right, hold up. Let me start over again. That's my bad. That's my bad. Let's look at Amazon. That's my bad, guys. That is my bad. I don't like making mistakes like that. So we'll try again. This is 2011. As you can see, if the blue line is angled up, you're going to see a lot of people buying this at the 200-day. Y'all see how every time it hits this blue line, y'all see this? People are buying. People are buying. Y'all see this? Every time it touches this blue line, everybody is buying. Why? Because the 200-day is angled up. Now, this one, the 200-day was angled up. So this right here might have been a loss. But it rarely loses 2 times in a row. So then let's say you lost here, it went red and it started to go green again. You would have made money. How did you know to buy it even though it was underneath the 200? The 200-day is angled up. When the 200-day starts to angle down, that's when you don't want to be around. You would have known really, really early not to be in Amazon. This is 2014. 2014, it started to go down, Look, just stay away until the 200. Look, I know it spiked up there. Who cares? Because you're buying other things during this time, but you're thinking about it. You see it go up, you miss the move. But it doesn't matter because 90% of the time it's going to come back to this blue line. So you wait and you wait and you wait. Dang, that bad boy didn't give you a chance for like a year. Then it finally gets back there. When it finally gets to the blue line, you start it up again. You do not short companies that have a 200-day angled up. That was 2014, guys. Anytime it gets close to this blue line, you want to buy it. You keep buying it. You see how it's just exploding in value. We just went from 2014 to 2017. All right. Now, here's where it kind of struggled at the 200-day, but you're going to keep buying it because the 200-day is angled up. You see that? It finally recovered. It gave you the strength to keep buying it. It kept going up. This was 2019. Everybody bought it at the 200-day. Still going up. You see how everybody's buying it at the 200-day? Now, this is COVID. How did everybody know to buy it here at COVID? Because the 200-day was angled up. This is 2020. This is 2021. You had a chance to buy it. 2022. You see how everybody keeps buying it at the blue line? Buying it at the blue line. This is how you swing trade, guys. Then in 2022, you got a loss right here. Well, actually, I wouldn't even call that a loss because the 200-day is angled down, but we'll say it's a loss right here. You said, Joel, you said wait until it starts to go green again, and then I got 3 greens, and then I lost. Yeah, but look what also is happening. The 200-day is angled down, which you don't want to be around. That started to happen February of 2022. If you had just seen that happen, guys, you wouldn't have lost all this money. And look, when do you get back in? When the 200-day starts to angle up. Because once it starts to angle up, even when it gets away from you like that, everybody gets overly bullish for that company. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing the same pattern again. Up, up, and away. Up, up, and away. Up, up, and away. Up, up, and away. Y'all see that? Up, up, and away. This is what? This is 2000. This is what happened this year. This was April. How did everybody know to buy here? Because if you were just to wait, because a lot of you guys still haven't figured out that it's when you start seeing green candles going up. All of this is red, red, red. I know you see these 3 green here. I know you see it here. But these are not 3 in a row. Even though if you bought it there, I wouldn't have been mad. You got 3 right here. And then what happens? The 200-day is angled up. Y'all see that? You could have bought it here too for a nice swing trade. You could have bought it here for a ridiculous swing trade to the upside. You could have bought it again when it touched the blue line for a swing trade to the upside. And this is where we are right now. What colors do you guys see these candles right now? Should you be buying Amazon to the upside? The answer is not yet. It's red. It's red. It's red. Y'all see everybody saying that in the comment section? It's red. You're learning the bias of the market. All right, I got to get out of here, guys. 8 o'clock. I'm trying to slow it down for you guys. You guys were asking some very complicated, a lot of traders were asking questions today. So you investors, you beginners, don't be afraid to ask a very simple beginning question like, when do I buy Apple? I don't know, for a long-term investment. All right. And then I'm able to slow it up for you. You guys got to ask the questions if you want me to pull up those charts, because a lot of the traders got hold of this session today. So if it looked really complicated today, it's because we talked about some of the most complicated things that are out there. Futures market, day trading, intraday trading. So make sure you slow it up. We started slow earlier, showing you how to invest slowly into these particular companies. If you're thinking about investing slowly into a company like that, you need to learn about the 200-day moving average. That is the best place, in my opinion, to start your stock subscriptions. That's where I usually enter into companies like this when they start getting close to their 200-day moving average. Social Lily asked, how do I create that blue line? If you have a advanced platform like actually you can do it on Fidelity. Fidelity has advanced platforms. Charles Schwab has Thinkorswim. You can also do it on your own on TradeStation or TradeView. What I'm going to do for my super fans next month, we're going to have a day where I help all of my super fans set up their charts so that they look like mine. But I'm only doing it for my super fans. So I understand if you guys, if you guys wait until January 1st, it's only like 5 or 6 days. But in January, once I'm going to try to do twice a week. I'm going to have a session on Sundays for my beginners that may have missed the whole week. So during those sessions, if you missed 7 days, we're going to do a review every Sunday for everything we talked about during that week. I'm also starting the Millionaire Challenge on January 1st, where we're going to start fresh again. So a lot of you advanced traders, you're going to get a little frustrated because the beginning of our sessions are going to be slow like it was this morning. But I promise you, you're going to be able to learn something. And then as we continue through the session, I'm going to start getting more and more advanced. So beginners, you might get frustrated because remember, I have to be able to talk to the beginners, the advanced traders, the intermediates, I have to talk to everybody. So there might be a point where you don't understand something. That's why I encourage everyone to learn all 3 ways: the tortoise, the hare, and the leatherback turtle. So I'm coming to you guys from Decatur, where it's greater. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for helping me reach my goal today.
Playing from Joel's iPad.
And I guess we'll